Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm Matt Connerton, and to my right, the honorable, though somewhat ill, Gary S. Hopper.
What's
wrong with you? What's got you illin'?
Plague.
I thought
got
so.
the plague.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, that's, that's terrible.
But I ain't dead yet.
You're building up your immunity.
That's what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah.
building up my immunity to everything.
Good.
But anyway, tonight we have Bob Smith and former Speaker William O'Brien on, and we're here to talk about the Cruz campaign, I assume, or we could tell jokes.
Let's talk about the Cruz campaign.
Wait, I got one. What did I write down? I wrote down a couple of things. Oh, you can tell it's the beginning of the year. I was just driving by Planet Fitness and the parking lot's full. But anyway, sorry.
Observational humor. That's Gary's
that's
specialty, I think.
That was, anyway. So Cruz campaign. So they were just discussing that in the other room. So we'll probably bring it up before his lovely wife gets here. He was born in Canada, and some people are confused by that.
You know, the best understanding, it's not really a sophisticated concept. If you're born and you don't have to apply to be a U.S. citizen, you're a natural born citizen.
Right.
You know, it just comes down to that.
Well, that's where the crux of the argument is, right? People argue over what does natural born citizen mean.
Well,
You don't have to be naturalized.
if your mom and dad are on vacation in Canada and you're born and they're U.S. citizens,
Right. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's obviously, it's just, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's a political deal, but it's.
Yeah.
I think the confusion is because people, I think, like the news people were talking about, or the Obama's White House, I suppose, is where I got the information. We're comparing that to Obama, but the difference is Obama's father was not American. It was just his mother was American.
Yeah, again, but...
And then there was question on whether he really was born in Hawaii or not, and all that other stuff.
And again, all of that would make no difference. You know, his mother was an American citizen. Ted Cruz's mother was an American citizen. You know, my dad was in the service, and so we lived in Japan for a while. We lived in Germany.
So you're Japanese?
One of my my siblings was born in Japan. Now, I never thought he was a natural guy anyway.
Right.
But he doesn't need to be naturalized as a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
And similarly, I had a sister born in Germany when my dad was stationed there. She's an American citizen too. Didn't have to go through naturalization process. Basically, if you look at the case law on it, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You know, we tend to make things more complicated than they have to be. He was a U.S. citizen when he was born.
And the case law, as Bill says, the case law supports that down the line. I don't think any presidential candidate has ever been tested on it, but he's no different than Bill or you or me. I mean,
it even came up about John McCain, I remember, because he was born outside the
He was
continent.
born in the Panama Canal. So,
Yeah.
You know, and these issues are all kind of fun, and maybe, you know, they should be talked about. But what is important is, you know, we have reports today that potentially North Korea has lit up a hydrogen bomb. We have ISIS killing Western citizens. We have Iraq that's just fallen apart. The Middle East, Iran and Saudi Arabia may well go at each other in war because of a failed foreign policy in that part of the world. These are the issues that should frighten us. Not these issues on
the only
side.
thing that really matters is his Canadian citizenship.
Yeah, you know.
Which he renounced.
He renounced
his Canadian
go
citizenship.
ahead.
Yes, maybe a year ago or at some point.
You know, it
That's
actually
wicked
came
funny.
up when my brother went into the U.S. Navy.
Yeah.
It came up then because he was born in Yokohama on a U.S. base. Does he have to renounce his potential Japanese? Because Japanese has citizenship for anyone born in the country.
Oh,
At least it
okay.
did at the time. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wicked funny.
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, we were just talking about that in the room outside, so I kind of wanted to get over that. You know what I mean? Just talk about it because I don't really care. I know that it's
It's a distraction.
it is a distraction, but the problem is the way the news media works is people make a big deal out of it, and the regular citizens don't know. Well, why is he Canadian? You know, they'll get confused by the
well, that's the
distraction.
intent. That's the intent.
Exactly.
If you look at the bigger picture, the establishment candidates are in disarray right now. I mean, they've got 2 or 3 people beating each other up. You know, Jeb Bush and Christie and Kasich and Rubio, and so Trump and Cruz have gotten along pretty well throughout this whole process. So they don't want the conservatives to go in united. They want the conservatives to go in divided.
Right.
That's the agenda.
Yeah,
So
of course
I think
it is.
every time we talk about it, we've kind of helped their agenda.
Well, the irony, though, is it's Trump who now is ginning up, again, this thing about Ted Cruz's citizenship. I mean, he made the comment, what was it, yesterday or the day before? He said something about, well, I'm not making a big deal about it, but I hear chatter. That old tactic. I hear other people chattering about it, and it's like...
What he did, not that I'm going to defend Donald Trump, but what he did say, as I heard that interview, he did say that he thought that the Democrats, if Cruz got elected and the Democrats wanted to challenge it, you could have that thing tied up in the courts for years.
Right.
But that's
it's silly.
It's just
yeah.
silly.
Yeah.
It's just silly. It's silly.
In all the years I've been involved in politics in New Hampshire, and we were just talking about this, Gary, going door to door and doing town halls and talking to people. Generally, they weren't bringing up Obama's citizenship. They haven't brought up this issue at all. What they're real concerned about is the fact that wages have stagnated.
Wicked stagnant.
They're really concerned about that their children are getting out of college with exorbitant debt, particularly in New Hampshire.
And no job.
And no jobs,
Yeah, I saw a poster on Facebook. A person had that. It says, I got my degree in women's studies and I can't find a job, and I'm in debt, and I'm wondering who's giving these people loans.
Right. We have a call.
We have a call.
Hi, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. Who's on the line? Our first call of 2016.
Yes. Maybe not.
Jane, are you there?
I am.
Hi, Jane.
What's
welcome.
up?
You're live.
Hello, how are you gentlemen doing this evening?
All right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Staying out of trouble?
No.
Oh, is this Jane Cormier?
She can't disguise
This
her
is Jane
voice.
Cormier.
Jane,
know
how are
she
you? I'm
can.
sorry, I didn't recognize your voice immediately. I should have known because you're asking Gary if he's staying out of trouble.
Hello, Jane. How are you?
We knew it was you,
I just
Jane.
want to know, Rep Hopper, how you scored such fabulous guests for your show tonight, you and Matt.
Oh, that was because
It was all Gary.
I inadvertently invited Bill O'Brien onto the show, and he keeps bringing people with him.
Right. Well, the
They
last
pay
time.
well. They
That's
pay
how it
well,
works.
Jane. They
Yeah,
pay well.
Yeah, we pay well.
Yeah, right. Well, this is an interesting evening. I'm watching you guys talk here from I'm quite comfortable in my living room. And I want to just jump in here and say we're coming into crunch time now here in New Hampshire for electing the best president that is running, and that is Ted Cruz. And are you having Heidi on this evening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
going to be in around 6:30. Hey, your daughter did an awesome job singing the national anthem at the State House today.
Oh, thank you so much.
I
You know,
I
she
got
was
there just
really
in time.
nervous today. She was really nervous, Catherine.
Yeah, well, of course. That was awesome.
Well, she sings that thing everywhere. She's at the Verizon Center all the time. She sings that thing all over the place, our national anthem. And here she goes into the State House, and she was texting me before she got up to sing, and she was, oh my goodness, I'm so nervous. I'm like, Catherine, really?
No, she did a great job. And congratulations
Thank you.
to you and your family, and to both of you for having such a delightful daughter.
Well, thank you. We worked hard. She's a good kid. She's a smart gal. So.
Yeah. Well, I've met
Okay,
her.
so I'm gonna maybe call back when Heidi's here, and I want to ask her a question.
Uh-oh.
Can I do that?
You can do that.
Okay, cool. You gentlemen have a good one. I'm gonna watch.
All right.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
Jane.
you, Jane.
Bye-bye, Jane.
She's awesome.
I didn't realize it was her at first.
I think she was listening to the TV at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Probably, yeah.
Or the computer or whatever she's watching.
Yeah,
it
Jane
on, so-
Jane is a great conservative. She's president of New Hampshire Right to Life.
Yep.
Former state rep. A real asset to New Hampshire.
And she guest hosted for Gary.
Yeah, last year when I was-
several weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how many weeks. I was going through cancer treatment. I couldn't even get out of bed.
Right,
So she
right.
was kind enough to bail me out.
Tireless worker, good person.
Yeah.
She really is.
I'm a tired worker. It's same thing, kind of a little bit close.
All the things that are good about politics, Jane is really.
She is.
There's a lot of bad things. There are a lot of bad things about politics, but she's not one of them.
No, there's a lot of people who are out for themselves, but she's out doing it to help to fight the good fight, you know. So anyway, you were talking about that recent upheaval. Saudi Arabia executed, I think it was 43 people, including some pretty renowned sheikh.
Mm-hmm.
And then Iran went ballistic, and I think would they go after the embassy in Tehran?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the Iranian foreign policy is to burn down the embassies or take them over. Other countries have established a practice of that over the years. What's happening here, quite aside from humorous elements like that, is you have a Sunni Shia breakdown in the Muslim world. And unfortunately, the president has allowed them access to nuclear weapons. And so whether it's now or in a year or two or more from now, at some point, Iran's going to announce it has nuclear weapons.
Yep.
Saudi Arabia, it's fairly acknowledged, widely acknowledged, can go buy one from Pakistan.
Right.
Indeed, there is a theory that it financed Pakistan's nuclear weapon development.
The Saudis don't already have nukes of their own?
No, they don't.
Okay.
No, they don't. But again, it's thought that Pakistan didn't have the resources itself to do it. They financed it with the arrangement that if we need a few of those bombs, you'll send them along.
Right.
And this is a very dangerous situation.
Well, because that goes back to Pakistan having an arms race with India.
Oh,
you know what this particular situation goes back to? It goes back to Obama not understanding that America was the necessary power. You remember at the beginning of his administration when someone asked, do you believe in American exceptionalism? And he said, sure, American exceptionalism. I believe in Greek exceptionalism. I believe in British. Yeah, I think they're exceptional. He failed to understand what was exceptional about this country in terms of our history and the way we've approached other countries, but also the fact that peace is something that is not a natural condition in the world or among nations.
It's something you got to fight for,
especially in the Middle East.
Yeah, peace occurs because one power requires there to be peace, whether it's Pax Romana or Pax Britannia or Pax America in the second half of the 20th century. He walked away from that post-World War II consensus that and alliances U.S. had built up to keep the world peaceful.
And in that same vein, I all agree with everything Bill said. This vacuum was created there by the horrible foreign policy of Obama and Clinton. I mean, for goodness sake, the so-called Arab Spring, where they just literally opened up the area to chaos without any plan.
You don't.
Without any, what do we do after?
And so,
I think W is pretty complicit in all that too.
But one of the things we have to do is talk
They
about
made it
going forward. And the reason I am so supportive of Ted Cruz's campaign is because he is the first one to do something that no one else would do. He calls the problem by what it is.
Right.
It's Islamic extremism.
Yep.
That is causing it. Now, there could be we could be talking 1,000 years ago. He could be talking about Christianity extremism, but in this world, it is the extreme elements of the Islamic faith that are causing some real problems, and we have to confront it.
Yep. No, I do. I just don't know. People keep attributing Obama's decisions to naivete, or that he didn't understand that he went over there and tried to love everybody. I'm not that convinced. I'm not sure it's not deliberate. Because if you look at the instances where governments have been destabilized, Muslim like the Muslim Brotherhood took over in Egypt. And that was predicted as soon as they started having a revolution, people knew that the only political entity in that country that was capable of taking power was the Muslim Brotherhood. Obama had to have known that. He can't be more informed than I am, or less informed than I am, I mean. It seems more deliberate than what you're alluding to.
But the thing that's important now, why a person like Cruz is so critically important, all of these things happen. We know they happened. We know the policies of the Obama administration have been wrong in terms of the chaos that's created over there and the risks that we now face in the world. But more importantly than that is recognizing it, but then going to the next level, which is to deal with it, to confront it head on.
Right.
I mean, as Bill said, if Senator Cruz at least calls it what it is, and we've got to be. I mean, he's not a strong ally of Israel. He's always on, fighting
Obama,
with
you mean?
Yeah, Obama is always fighting with Netanyahu about something, and one-way fighting, I might add. Netanyahu is the one that understands. You find yourself saying, "I wish he were our president." When you see what's going on.
Netanyahu seems to be getting closer to Putin and Obama, which is not.
Well,
There's a big vacuum.
understand that exactly. Israel's a small country.
Right.
And
Oh, tiny.
if it's not going to have what since at least 1967 war was its best friend, which is the United States, then it has to look to accommodate itself to other situations.
Right.
The
At least
stakes-
Putin is confronting
Yeah.
Islamic extremism. Now, Putin is a bad guy. He's a gangster that is running a gangster economy. And the only reason he has a role now in the Middle East is because we've walked away from our role.
Oh yeah.
And you say it's I'm not going to suggest that this is inadvertent or he didn't want this to happen. I truly believe that Barack Obama has picked up this leftist belief that developed over the last 30 or 40 years and on, that somehow America was an evil country that had to be brought down in the world.
Colonialist.
And he's doing that. What he doesn't understand is the world is a nasty place unless someone is requiring there to be peace.
Hasn't he also kind of doubled down in some other areas, like the drone strikes, for example? He loves the drone strikes. He's something like 4 times more than we ever had under George W. Bush. He thinks that's great. He's seems to be complicitly sort of okay with torture in some instances, and I personally don't perceive his foreign policy. I think in terms of how he speaks about it different, but I don't think it's that drastically different from that of George W. Bush, which I also disagreed with. I disagree with both of them.
And I don't disagree with your point, but let's go back to that for a second, and I think keep this in the framework of Senator Cruz as president. I mean, the stakes are so enormous now, and this vacuum that's been created, and we're talking about nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And I served for 12 years on the United States Senate Armed Services Committee. I saw one of my subcommittees oversaw the budget for nuclear weapons, and it was, I mean, it's just the technology now with not only the weapon itself but the capability to deliver it.
Right,
the
that's
missile.
the scary part.
And it's scary, and we met with people like Mubarak from when he was in Pakistan, and the whole place now. I mean, these guys, these dictators, at least kept some semblance of order.
Right.
And if you're going to break down the dictators, then have a plan. But this nation building thing, and this news the last 2 days, with these guys surrounded in Afghanistan, special ops guys, the best, the top, the best people, surrounded. That should not happen by a bunch of Taliban. I mean, whatever you have to do, don't let those guys sit there.
Right.
And Obama has, put the rules of engagement. They got to be approved by the White House. I mean, Senator Cruz is not going to do that. I mean, these are, I know I'll speak for myself, but I talked to him at great length before I endorsed him. I really did. I said, look, I'm not interested in somebody that's not going to take these problems on. I said, you're going to get it. You're going to get it from the establishment. You're going to get it from the left. And you're going to get it big time. Mm-hmm. And you got to be able to challenge it wherever it needs to be challenged. And he said, I give you my word. I'll do it. And he has. I mean, that's the thing. And so...
Yeah, I think that's one. It's like same thing with Johnson. Obama's doing the same thing. Johnson was micromanaging Vietnam from D.C., and you can't do that. You have to give them a mission, and they'll do it.
And that's why Obama likes the drone strikes, because he can micromanage those. And they work. I mean, look, they kill people. I mean, if I were president, I'd get up in the morning and say, how many can I kill today? That's all well and good, but...
Well, I think it has a
But
blowback effect,
even with that, we have the smallest military.
That was funny how you said that.
We have the smallest military.
myself.
We have the smallest military since before World War II. And we have the smallest navy since before World War One. And at the same time, that not only is China but Russia is building up its naval forces.
You know what's really scary, and this was happening just as I was leaving office, so I haven't seen any intelligence on this in 10 or 12 years, but I did see it before I left. And if you recall, when the Soviet Union broke up, we had an opportunity to get some of these scientists. We didn't get them all. We didn't get most of them. They wound up going into Iran and Iraq and places like that, and God knows.
Selling off. I mean, there's probably loose nukes out there.
Absolutely. That's the biggest fear.
That's a concern.
If you talk to anybody in the intelligence community today, that's what they're going to tell you. The biggest fear is that You wake up, breaking news, and then there's like a one going off in 8 or 10 different locations
Right.
around the country. Dirty nukes, small bombs. They don't have to be big bombs. So
You,
it's-
you also got North Korea that nobody, including Bush, has dealt with, and that like you said at the beginning of the show, he just theoretically lit up a hydrogen bomb. There is no way that guy isn't trying to figure out a way to sell something to Iran.
oh, they
Well,
just
too
did
much.
deal.
He'd do it
They
in.
do
Well,
all that.
we just freed up all that money for Iran so that it could buy whatever it
Well,
wants.
that nuclear development plant in Syria that was taken out by the Israelis
Right.
was North Korean technology. Was
That's
built by
right.
the North Korean. Was North Korean
I didn't know
technology.
that.
Well,
And
it's
so I'm sure they
amazing.
are.
I visited North Korea twice. Once
Oh,
at,
really?
at the DMZ when I was in the Senate. Once in DMZ, and once I went to Pyongyang, and I met with some of the North
Wow.
Korean leaders, and it was really a weird experience.
I
I have to
bet.
tell you.
Oh,
But
I'm not gonna show you, but I actually got my T-shirt that says, "Don't blame me, I voted for Kim Jong Un."
but these guys are they are I'm drawing a blank on the word, but they do not want any foreign intervention in any way in their country, and they want to be left alone to do their thing, and their people are starving to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's a very, very delicate situation when, under Clinton and now under Obama, we've allowed them to first get nuclear weapons and then develop the nuclear weapons. So now we're confronted with the reality of these people having nuclear weapons, and we have to keep the pressure on them,
And
work
they've
with the
got it-
Chinese, and allow that regime to unwind in a graceful manner, because
I-
it will fall
they
apart
get them
at
by
some point.
starving their people. That's how they get their weapons.
I would say though, I mean, every time I hear Clinton and Obama, I keep feeling like I got to remind you, we had 8 years of George W. Bush, and nothing was done about North Korea either.
Nobody's done anything.
Right.
Clinton sold the North Koreans technology for so-called nuclear reactors that were supposed to be used for peaceful purposes. Duh.
Yeah, is that proven, or is that more of a conspiracy theory kind
No,
of
I
thing?
think
'Cause
No, no, that was actually proven.
Really?
If you
Yeah,
don't
he
do
transferred technology.
if you
over.
don't do this
Okay.
type of nuclear plant, we'll sell you the
Right.
technology
Oh,
for
I
this
see.
other
Okay,
kind.
I see what
They
you're
were
saying.
supposed to be monitored,
I see
but
what
they
you're
weren't
saying.
monitored.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
there's-
So that's where a person like Cruz comes in. You got to have a level head. You got to understand. You got to be able to quickly grasp issues. If you sit and talk to the guy, he's brilliant. I mean, he can comprehend an issue in no time, and he knows. You got to be cool. You got to be able to react, but you got to be able to think it through quickly. And that's a rare talent. I mean, it really is.
And I think he has the ability to see problems at their core.
Yeah.
For example, the immigration problem is not a problem with people from Mexico coming here per se. You and I would do the same thing. If I was a poor farmer
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Mexico, I'd try to come up here. The problem is our problem because they're taking away good jobs, they're depressing the labor marketplace, they're ending up competing and lowering wages. Ted Cruz the Cruz campaign has an ad that came out last day or two. I don't know if you guys
No,
saw it. or
I
not.
don't watch TV, so
Well, what the ad does, it takes off a remark, he said, and it shows a bunch of lawyers and journalists and bankers coming across the Rio Grande, presumably, and saying, if it were people like that who are coming every day and taking away jobs, it would be recognized as a national calamity. But because it's taken away factory jobs
Yep.
and the jobs that used to pay well and people could raise a family on it without having gone to law school or medical school, whatever, it's thought to be a good thing.
I
It's
know-
not a good thing. It's an economic problem.
I worked with a guy who worked at a plastics company, and I think it was Lowell or that area, and it was full of illegal immigrants. And the flip side of it, not only are they taking these jobs, but the other flip side of it is not a humane working condition. One of the women at the place was raped by the foreman,
Oh, wow.
but there's nothing she can do. Who is she going to tell?
Because we've allowed workers in this country to be marginal,
Yep.
be undocumented.
Yeah,
There's
and
an easy
so-
way out of this. We don't have to deport 11 or 15 million people.
It's
We just have to,
impossible.
we have to take away the jobs that are being taken from Americans and being given to those who are in the country
You
illegally.
prosecute-
They'll go back.
You prosecute the
The
employers.
employers.
Yeah.
Do you remember during the Reagan administration amnesty? That was supposed to be the flip side of it.
Yeah.
At that point, 2 or 3 million undocumented immigrants could stay. They were legalized, but we're going to have a vigorous regime of employment check. It just never happened.
But people, you know, we talk about these problems. We've all talked about them on programs and in the Congress and everywhere else. All across, we've all debated them in our living rooms, you name it. But they get worse. And it doesn't matter whether you elect a Republican or a Democrat to Congress. What happens? Immigration's still illegal. They're still pouring over our borders. We got a mess in the Middle East now. The terrorists are killing us. We got a debt that's going through the roof and continuing to rise no matter who gets elected. This guy will look you right in the eye and he'll tell you, judge me on what I do, Senator Cruz. Judge me on what I do. I will take it on. And he will reverse those executive orders. I think he will deal with the debt. He'll have some growth put in there with a good tax plan, because you can balance the budget by growing and cutting taxes and growing the economy as well as cutting spending. So we just need somebody with the, you know what, to do it, the gravitas to do it. And people
Well,
are
I think
fed up.
I've said it on the show before that the problem with the border dispute is that there's two, and this is there's only a few candidates that I'm considering for president, and all of them are outsiders, because I know if Jeb Bush or any of those other people gets elected, business will be as usual. And the reason the border
Absolutely.
dispute doesn't change is because there's too much money in it. There's all kinds of donors who hire these illegal aliens that vote support Republicans, and then there's all these other people that want cheap Democrat votes. So there's so much money, or
There's no money in solving it.
there's
You
no
can't
money in
raise
solving
if you
it.
solve it.
So
Yeah.
all you really need is somebody who's honorable in the White House to fix it.
So it's real easy. You and I know this. We've run for office. It's real easy to say you're going to do the thing people want to hear. It's hard to get up there and actually do it.
Oh yeah.
As Speaker, I tried to do that. This man, Ted Cruz, has been elected and kept his promises. Kept his promises when every person except 2 or 3 senators in his caucus, they call them conferences up there,
Right.
were opposing him and calling him evil. This is a man who, when he tells us he'll do something, we can take that to the bank.
So
and
the fact that he was
cynicism
called evil is why you identify
No,
with it?
it's not. It's the people calling him evil.
the source.
Yes,
It's the people. It's
well
the,
played, sir.
it's people calling him evil, and yeah, that does make a difference. When Mitch McConnell, for example,
Oh, I remember that.
When
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell, for example, is called out for lying, and everybody else knows he's doing it, so I got to go along. That's a man that I'm going to support for president.
Right.
You know what the sad part now is, though, that it's so serious that we may not get another chance. This may be the last shot we have to save this country. I mean, I know it's been said before, but look at what's happening to our Constitution. It's being shredded. You name it. We don't have
Well,
to go
just
through
just
drill.
the other day
But-
when he announced those gun things, those were unconstitutional.
Sure. But you realize what he will have to face to stop that? I mean, he is going to be. I mean, he is going to be just. I mean, we need to all pray for the guy if he's elected president of the United States, because let me tell you, it is going to be
The
vicious.
bureaucracy that he's going to have to come up against is going to be amazing.
But one last point, and I'm not sure if Bill wants to jump in, but one of the things that I hear some of these guys say, mostly from the establishment, I'm a fix-it man. I hear Kasich say it. I hear Jeb Bush say it. I can fix problems. I've done that. That's not what we need. We don't need a Mr. Goodwrench in
Right.
the White House right now. We really don't. We need a visionary leader who knows where he's going. In the meeting, every time I had a meeting with Ronald Reagan, I'd look at his desk and it'd be blank. There would be nothing on it because he didn't need an in basket. He knew what he believed. He didn't need a pile of papers in his basket and tell him what to do. He knew what he believed, and he had a sense of what the American people believe, what the Constitution meant. And Cruz has that. He has it. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't be out here helping him if he didn't.
No,
Exactly.
I totally agree. I mean, like I said, there's only a few people that I'm considering because, first and foremost, we need somebody with integrity who's going to do the right thing regardless of how
No matter who's looking.
how bad it looks or what the political polls are saying this week. And like I said, I think he's there. The other advantage he has over somebody like a Trump is not only does he have that integrity, he also knows what's going on up there and where the friction's going to come from, and it's we definitely need somebody, because we can't, like the other day Hillary was on the being interviewed by, I forget what the jerk's name is, and asked, "Are you a socialist?" And she says, "No, I'm a progressive Democrat."
We have a caller, and
All right.
then someone else. Is that Heidi over there?
I can't see beyond the light, so I don't know.
This is hi, Robert. Welcome to Rock Paper Hand Grenades.
Hello,
Hello.
statue.
Hello.
Hi, what's up?
Yeah, I got a real quick question for this distinguished guest you have here. What are your sentiments on somebody that's already holding an office, that's running for national office, to the detriment of their constituents? I think they ought to give it up first and then run. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Rob.
What? You know, I think it's important that someone like Senator Cruz or someone like Rand Paul or someone like Marco Rubio come forward with their ideas and present them to the people in the United States and ask the people to consider them for higher office without having to give up the current office. I don't think, for example, that Marco Rubio or Rand Paul are appropriate or the strongest candidates for president. I do not want to lose their participation in the U.S. Senate, however, because they're great U.S. senators, and why should our country be diminished by them having to resign? Now, it is a juggling act, and certainly with one or more of them have been criticized for not being present to the degree they
I think it
should.
was mostly Rubio.
But be that as it may, we don't have to give up talent in order to consider them for a higher office. I understand the concern you have, but I don't think the suggestion you have is the correct one.
And I would agree. I mean, I think you have to look at what's being missed. If significant votes are being missed or things that are really critical, then I understand. But, you know, I, for one, given the circumstances that we face in our nation today, I'm certainly not going to hold it against a candidate that I believe in, that I believe is going to help us save America, because he misses a couple of votes or he's not there to sign some paper.
Yeah, the other thing too is, and you know this, I don't actually know this, I'm just presuming, is that if you're a sitting United States senator, you have staff there, still working the phones and talking and finding out what's in different bills, so you can still fly back and vote responsibly, because you have people there that are there on the floor.
They're probably the ones reading the bills anyway,
Yeah,
right? In most cases.
you're not on vacation. I know I speak for every single rep, including all you guys that have been reps and are reps. But I remember one day when I was in the Senate on a Christmas morning, I got a call. A young man had been killed on a ship out in the Persian Gulf somewhere. I don't know if I can't remember if it was an accident or what it was. And I didn't want to bother anybody, so I did it myself. I spent an entire Christmas day on the phone getting the Red Cross and getting everybody to get in touch with his mother and to get the kid home. I mean, to get the kid back home for the funeral. And you know, it's you're always on the job. I mean, anybody that's worth his salt in politics, if they're not thinking about or doing something,
Right.
you don't have to be physically where you're, you know, in some location. to be doing
Sometimes
the
I
job.
play video games.
You know, the Rand Paul situation was particularly interesting because he had to get the state Republican Party in Kentucky to change from a primary to a caucus to get around the whole,
Together.
because he's also up for
Together.
re-election as senator, so he
Yeah.
wanted to make
Right.
sure, because before he couldn't be on the ballot twice.
I do have
Sure.
a little bit of a problem with running for two offices at the same time.
Lyndon
Yeah.
Johnson did that. He
Lyndon
actually was,
Johnson
Yeah.
did it.
he was actually allowed to be running for
He
U.S.
did.
Senate
Yeah.
and vice president at the same time.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a problem with that, but I don't have a problem if somebody decides they want to miss it. You can judge me, or Senator Rubio, or Senator Cruz, or anybody else, or any governor for what they missed. If you think what they missed was critical,
Right.
then hold it against them. But
Yeah, there's, if you're in politics, there's time conflicts all the time.
All
There's-
the time.
You know this. There's times we have to be in committee or testify in front of the Senate, and we might miss a House vote. And,
Right.
and it's hard to explain to people that you're doing this juggling all the time.
Right.
There is a huge need on the part of our country for a dynamic, conservative leadership, someone who knows the Constitution and will hold it in front of himself. And I'm not going to say, boy, that person shouldn't be available to us because
No.
he has some Senate duties
No,
at the
you,
same
you,
time.
you would have so many people that couldn't, like, Christie's just still, I mean, how many of them are already sitting governors that are running?
Yeah,
and-
Christie and Kasich. And,
Yeah, so you will basically eliminate your entire, so you, only
Yeah.
people you could get were people who are retired, so,
Trump has his big tower.
yeah.
You know, and,
But yes,
I,
that's
and,
kind
I,
of a
and I
good
think
thing.
Donald Trump is really doing a service. I
He
mean,
is doing
he's
a great service.
he's
to-
articulating the fear, the concerns that many of us have. I think that's why he's resonating so well. You put it well, though, Gary. We need somebody that just doesn't have the ability to articulate that these issues are out there. We're concerned. We want something different, but we need to know that there is somebody who will implement the policy changes that
And-
will solve these.
And leadership is an action word. It's not put your finger to the wind and see which way your constituents want to go. It's leading them
Clinton
in the
used to do that
direction
wicked bad.
they should go. And whether you're even FDR, I mean, as you didn't, obviously we had our differences with FDR, but he led.
Right.
Okay, I mean, and you knew that when you went to the polls. You didn't like what he did, and then you could vote against him. But you knew where he stood, and I respect that. I used to respect Ted Kennedy because I knew where he stood.
Right.
I didn't agree with him,
Right.
but I knew where he stood, and a lot of people in my own party, I didn't know where they stood on a lot of issues.
Right.
That's not true with Ted Cruz, I can tell you that.
It is
I know
true.
where he stands.
No, I was reading a quote from Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great said that he did not fear an army of lions led by a sheep, which is what we have now. He feared an army of sheep led by a lion, and we really need somebody of that caliber at the helm now, because we're choking. You like you said, the unemployment, the only employment is. The whole middle class is almost gone.
Well, so our employment rate, our adult employment rate, is at the lowest it's been in, 40 years, 50 years? And so what that means is that people have fallen off the unemployment rolls because they're not counted anymore. They don't receive unemployment compensation insurance because they've been unemployed so long. They've retired early, they're taking part-time jobs. The labor participation rate is low. It's at the levels that we saw back in the Depression. People are going through effectively a depression at this point, and we need policies that are going to address them. And it's not giveaway policies. It's not more taxes. It's not more government regulation. It's all the opposite. Free up the business to create jobs. Get rid of regulations. Lower taxes. We have the highest corporate tax rate in the world. How can we go out internationally and say, bring your business to America? Start your businesses here, when we're going to say, oh, and if you do, and you get it going, we're going to tax you more than anywhere else in the world.
Well, it's like the Democrats are always really want to heavily tax cigarettes because it will lower the number of people using it. And they do the same thing to business and don't understand why that's not helping business.
Yeah.
It's driving them offshore. That's what
Oh,
it's
yeah.
done.
It is driving them offshore.
I mean, if you look at Apple could have made all those iPads, all
Right
that
here.
stuff they made over here.
And what is it, Merck, one of the large pharmaceutical companies, is engaging, it's just another example of a company engaging in this inversion merger they talk about.
What's
where
that mean?
What they do is they find a small little pharmacy, in this case of this big pharma, I think it was Merck, find a little pharmaceutical company, in this case over in Ireland. They say, we're going to merge, but you're going to buy us, so we're going to become an Irish company. And
Oh,
we're no
no
longer
way.
an American company. It's an inversion.
Didn't Burger King do something like that?
Burger
with the
King did it with a Canadian company.
Yeah,
Did the same thing. Burger King, which is found in the U.S., it's a typical U.S. Fast food company. Provided a lot of entry level jobs for people. Became a Canadian company because their tax rate in Canada is less than the U.S. And they did it by this inversion type of merger, where you get some 10-store chain in Canada to buy Burger King.
Right. It's pretty slick.
It is.
There are several, I don't know, the numbers are disputed, but there are trillions of dollars offshore in uncollected, the taxes that we don't get because these companies are operating offshore.
Yeah.
And Obama says, let's penalize them. let's hunt them down like dogs and punish them and tax them. Whereas Ted Cruz says, let's invite them home.
Right.
Let's bring them home. Let's give them a tax incentive to come home.
Right.
We have Heidi Cruz here.
Our
Awesome.
next guest has arrived.
Hi.
Dun,
Hello,
dun, dun,
welcome.
dun.
Hi, come on in. I'm Matt.
Hi, Matt. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Heidi. I'm Gary. I won't shake your hands because you don't want to die.
Oh, you've been sick?
Yeah.
Oh,
Why don't you have a
man.
seat here? Heidi?
Okay. Thank you.
He hasn't been diagnosed, but we're hoping he makes it through the show.
Maybe.
I'm convinced. I'm
I
convinced you don't
understand.
have the Black Death, Gary.
Yeah, that's just. I don't trust you though.
Are
Are you a doctor?
No, I have no
All right,
medical
then
expertise.
you
at
don't
all.
have a really.
These two guys are
opinion.
crazy, just so you know.
Y'all known each other for a long time?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, no, I worked on Bob Smith's campaign when he was running for a long time. My favorite daughter was a page when he was up in D.C.
Oh, wonderful.
So he's an awesome
That's
guy.
I didn't realize that.
They
I
shut
didn't know
down the
that.
Page
Oh, yeah.
program, didn't they?
Yeah. I
Gary,
think
if you
they
said your
did.
favorite daughter, you better
Right
have
about
only
that.
one daughter.
I only have one daughter.
Good to hear
I'm not
that.
quite that Irish. So, how's it going? You must be crazy busy.
Well, I'm very
You
pleased.
got to get a little bit closer to the mic, young lady.
I'm very pleased that so many people are crazy busy for this campaign.
Yeah.
We've had a terrific year in 2015, preparing for 2016. I think we've built an incredible foundation, and no more strongly than in New Hampshire. We have an absolutely incredible leadership team here. Ted and I are so blessed to have the strongest chairman in the state, in our view, in Bill and the senator. And we appreciate their support, and it's allowed us to build a really strong base here in New Hampshire.
Although Iowa, you must be. I mean, you're ahead in Iowa, right?
We're headed in
So-
Iowa.
Yeah.
What, did I actually introduce her?
You know,
This
I'm
is-
not sure.
no,
you
I
did.
don't think you did.
We're too
This
busy
is
talking
my-
about your
This is
disease.
This is Ted Cruz's better half, Heidi Cruz. Thank you for coming on.
We have a
Now we have a
we have
caller
a call.
from
This
Jane.
might be Jane. Yes,
This is Jane
It is Jane.
Cormier.
Jane Cormier is on the line. Welcome back, Jane.
Yes.
Hi, young lady.
Jane's calling to introduce her.
Hello, it's me again. Yes, I'm bothering you again.
Good.
And Jane, do you mind if I
I
introduce?
wanted to say hello to Heidi. I can't wait to see you tomorrow night. And I want everybody in New Hampshire to know what a fabulous gal they have in Heidi Cruz.
Oh, thank you, Jane.
Oh, Heidi, do you remember the first time that we talked?
Well, I've been to the state a number of times, so I'd have to think which event. Remind me which event it was.
Okay, so we were at Representative Edelblut's home, and I met you. We were speaking in the kitchen, and we had a conversation about the bloated bureaucracy going on in our government. And we spoke for quite a bit, and I can tell you that at that conversation, I walked away with such a great feeling. I mean, you spoke directly, you were heartfelt, you were warm, and I think we need to make sure New Hampshire knows that our future First Lady is such a great gal.
We all know Jane so well. It's Jane Cormier, who's president of New Hampshire Right to Life.
Oh,
And,
wonderful.
Former rep and one of my favorite reps.
Well, Jane, I do remember that conversation, and I certainly remember that event. It was a packed house, and we do speak frequently of the bloated government that is in Washington, and Ted's ability to change that with all of our help in getting him into office. And we want to thank you for your leadership in this state on these important issues. And thank you for your warm compliments.
I was actually bothered, Jane. I was actually bothered by that event.
You were?
Yeah, because I didn't find out till we were leaving how good the buffalo wings were, and I didn't get any because I was busy.
You snooze,
There
you
was
lose, Gary.
I know,
great
right?
food in the dining
It
room.
was.
Yeah,
It was really good food,
yeah.
but I didn't get any.
Well, the house was so packed, it was hard to find
It
your
was-
way.
yeah, it
It
really
really
was.
was. It was a great summer evening. So.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to shut off my, I'm going to get off, and I'm going to watch you guys talk. Have a great discussion, and Heidi, we'll see you tomorrow, and we are ready for push time, the last month and a month or so before the primary, because you know what, Ted is going to win New Hampshire.
I agree with you there. We've got the right team in place. I'll be up here with you doing it. Thank you, Jane. See you tomorrow.
Okay, so
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
bye,
Jane.
So what event is she alluding to?
Well, we were up here this last summer and even early spring, summer, and late fall for a number of different house parties. And she and I had a conversation in the kitchen. There was it was a beautiful home.
No. She was talking about an upcoming event tomorrow.
Oh, well, I'm here for 2 days and doing events all over the state. So
Could be any number of
I think
events.
it's actually, Shannon McGinley's. going to
That's right. We
a
have
house party.
a dinner at Shannon's.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay,
Conway,
okay.
I mean, Conway, you're gonna be in, is it Conway? Yeah, Conway, I think.
Right.
Conway and also across the way in Ashland, I think, too.
We have 3 or 4.
It's probably
events,
hard to
so.
keep track of it all, right?
I do go where I'm told.
Yeah.
I usually try to make sure I have a pretty precise understanding of the type of events, make sure I'm
Have you-
properly attired.
The important thing is if you're in New Hampshire, have you learned to say wicked awesome yet?
Well, I did, as you may know, I spent a few years in Boston, and I know
Oh,
that's
yeah.
not
Oh,
New
okay.
Hampshire.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But
Yeah.
well on to the
Well
lingo, and I've
versed.
never used the word wicked, but I admire it greatly. But awesome is a shared vocab with California.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is?
As you may know.
That's
I
everywhere.
didn't know
Oh
that,
yes,
no.
that is, and we've translated into our little Texans. Our 5 and 7-year-old say awesome, even though they're Texans.
No, that's good. So how do you like, this has been a long haul. How do you, what's your schedule like? You said 2 days here, then you're going back to Iowa or
2 days here. So the schedule, we've had a great year in 2015, and it's gone by really fast. It's amazing how quickly this year's gone. The year past has gone by, and I think it's because our campaign started out with a fantastic team. We started early, but we had a real strategy in 2015 for building this campaign. A strategy in terms of the states that we needed to focus on. And the whole strategy is focused on turning out courageous conservatives around this country, people that are with Ted, that Ted is already with his values, that have been staying home. And by our count, there are millions and millions of conservatives who've been staying home in this country, and our job's been to turn them out.
It was Papa Sununu was on in the paper or wherever the other day saying that we basically implying that we have to nominate another rhino. And somebody posted it. I says, "Oh yeah, so that worked out so well with Scott Brown."
Right.
It's
And Mitt
'cause-
Romney.
McCain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we keep nominating rhinos, and nobody goes to the polls because they don't care. Because what's the point? It's not going to.
But I think people are getting that message in this election. This election feels different to me, don't you think,
I agree.
Bill and
Yes.
Bob?
I sure do.
Absolutely.
There's an awakening that what we have been doing is not working. And furthermore, this is an enormous opportunity for us as Republicans, because what the country can now see is that the policies of the left don't work.
Yeah, I wanted to because I probably won't get to see your husband because those events he goes to are so crowded. I don't even think I met him at Frank's house because there was just too many people crowded around him, and I'm
That's a
not
good
willing
sign.
to jump over people.
It's a good sign. We want to keep it that way.
But I just
But
thought
we do want you to meet him.
in the last debate. He just did such an awesome job. I mean, he's got to be super brilliant because when he remembered all the questions that how they were trying to divide the Republicans and recited every single one of the questions and then went back at him. I just thought, wow, I couldn't remember one.
Right?
Well, it's interesting. People say that Ted is very smart, and he really is. I mean, he has a sharp mind, and that has been, it's a wonderful quality because of how he uses it. He is so principled and so articulate, and he uses that sharp mind of his to make forward progress for our principles and values. And
He's argued in front of the Supreme Court, right? So
9 times.
So I would think that
Yeah.
would help him a lot with debates in terms of remembering things and.
Well, his career has been as a litigator, and God has blessed him with having had the opportunity of arguing constitutional cases, issues that had to do with our constitutional rights, such as freedom of speech and religious liberty and Second Amendment, and privacy and U.S. sovereignty. He has argued on behalf of these values over and over. And what's so compelling is that he's been winning. He's been winning for the last 20 years in his legal practice and then as Solicitor General of Texas. And now on a national scale, people have been able to see what he has tried to accomplish for Texans in his term so far in the Senate.
I think that to your point about being honorable, and I don't know what president spoke at Harvard, it was a long time ago, and he was speaking to the class or was at a maybe it was they used to have a chapel before they'd go to class, and he said that if we raise these brilliant minds up without some sort of moral underpinning, we're just creating monsters.
That's right. That's right.
Being brilliant isn't enough.
It's
if you're
not enough.
brilliant and you have no moral fiber, you're a danger to society. You're just better at stealing.
That's right. Well, and I'm so proud of the upbringing that Ted received from his parents.
Dad's awesome.
He has a wonderful family, and his dad is awesome. Has a good use of the word.
Wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome. I love it. His mother is equally wicked awesome. A lot of people do know his father's story as coming here with nothing as an immigrant from Cuba. Came here legally with just $100 sewn in his underwear and built a small business, and really has lived the American dream. His mother had a similarly interesting story of being the first in her family to go to college, and not only just to go to college, but she graduated with a degree in math in 1956.
Oh, that's really unusual.
And was a computer programmer in the oil business in a time when not a
no way.
lot of women were in that field.
Huh.
And so Ted has been raised by strong, principled people. He was raised learning the Bible and the Constitution. And his parents believed in the Judeo-Christian nation that is the founding of our country. And they also believed that Ted needed to understand the Bible and the Constitution and memorize large pieces. But also memorizing is not enough. You have to understand the historical context and the meaning. And Ted had that opportunity as a kid, and it allowed him, I think, to take good advantage of his education.
Oh, we got a call.
To grab this call really quick. Norm is on the line. Hello, Norm.
Hello.
Norm, you still there?
Hello.
Hey, Norm.
What's up, buddy?
Hi. Yeah, I have a question for that beautiful young lady that you have there.
Once in a row, brother.
Yeah. Oh, my question is, how does her husband feel about the gun control laws?
Well, you've heard Ted speak directly to the camera on this in the last day. And it is unfortunate that that we have leadership in this country that continues to try to break down our constitutional rights. And
Boy, is she a beautiful lady. I'd love to see her as a first lady. Look at her eyes; they're very beautiful.
Well, thank you for saying that. I hope that with your help, we can get Ted into office so that we can do good things for our country. But what I'm so proud of Ted for is that he will uphold our Constitution, and he will protect our rights, and he will back the amendments that our founding fathers so purposefully put into that document.
Yeah, I know what our current president. Thanks for the call, Norm.
Thank you, Norm.
Thank you, Norm.
Bye-bye.
Nice to speak with you.
Our current president was talking about the Muslim heritage of the United States. And the only real contact I know of in the early going we had with Muslims where we sent the Marines over there to
Tripoli Pirates.
Yeah, the Barbary Pirates.
the Barbary pilots. The first, I mean, he's so full of baloney when he says that we have some sort of Muslim heritage. The first mosque wasn't built in the United States till the 20th century.
Well, what I think is
it's just political BS.
what I think is so important about the debate going on in this country is that we all speak out for religious liberty. And when we think about the founding of this country was one single thing, and that was people came here to be able to worship the God that they believed in as they pleased.
Yep.
And it's the very, very first right that we have. And as Ted very importantly pointed out in the last debate, the war that we have right now in the Middle East is not a war of the United States against a religion. It is against radical Islamic terrorists and terrorism.
I was glad to hear him say that at the last debate, too, as clearly as he did.
And I think we need to remind our country that. And we also need to remind our country of how religious liberty is under attack. There are examples all over this country of people who are living their lives according to their values and in an honorable way, who have truly faced difficult times. We have a woman that we know who is a high school graduate. She's now in college, but of a high school in Texas, a public high school. Mm-hmm. She was threatened with jail time if she mentioned the word God or prayed in her part of her graduation ceremony as valedictorian of her class. That is extreme.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
That is
ridiculous.
extreme and un-American.
Peterborough, a kid wasn't allowed to wear his Marine uniform to graduation.
Wow.
So we have
That's
to file
very-
legislation.
You have to
allow
file
it.
legislation.
it's bizarre.
It's just wrong. It's
For
like the
people
world
to
turned upside down.
It is.
Yeah.
It is completely contrary to what it was when I was a kid.
Yeah. But this is a point in time, and we can reverse this tide now. But this country will change if we do not win this election. And I think it's why Bill and Bob have been so generous with their time. They've had incredibly successful careers in public service and in business, and they didn't have to do this. They didn't have to come out again, and we couldn't be more grateful.
I guess I can recall early last year I met Senator Cruz for the first time, and we spoke about this earlier. What's very important to me is that someone just not articulate a recognition of the problem and that there are solutions, but we have a real history of taking those beliefs into the public square, into public office, and not abandoning them.
I just would like to say on that point too, it's my privilege. It really is. It's an honor. I mean, 18 years I served and fought these battles.
I know you did.
And it's just so frustrating. And I see your husband, and I think, if everybody met him and could talk to him or you, they'd vote for him. That's what I feel, and I wish I could convey that to the voters out there. That
I think you just did.
They are so sincere. Maybe I did. They're so sincere, and they believe what they believe, and you know it when you speak to them. And I know that's getting through here. And
I think also the advantage will be when he gets elected. If you listen to the press secretary and stuff like that, I don't know how much that guy gets paid for lying. But if you listen to the press secretary, having a president that can actually articulate the Constitution and why it is necessary not to impose a gun law, because we never hear that. All we hear about is the people that have died, and we get the tears in the eyes. We have to do something, and nobody ever articulates at the national level why this is a constitutional right, why we have to defend it, and right down the line, as far as the Constitution, we need somebody in the White House that can articulate those positions and
Absolutely.
not just speak emotionally to get an agenda through.
Yeah. Well, I would encourage your viewers to listen to what Ted says and not what people say about him, because a lot of these issues, people are speaking about consequences, or there's rhetoric, or there's it's not speaking to the fundamental principle that protects us. From the tyranny that is government, that the amendments, the way our Constitution was constructed, had such a thoughtful process to it. And Ted always says we have to first make the argument to win the argument, and then we win the vote. Yeah. And I think we do have to go back to those principles, and Ted reviews them every day in his events and his speeches. And when you listen to him, if you listen to what he's actually saying, he's very easy to follow because he's a very logical speaker. Yeah. And it's really interesting. Even to this day, I've been married to him for over 15 years, and can't tell you how many events I've done with him. And I always find it interesting to listen to Ted Cruz.
Heidi, I got to shut you off. We only got two seconds left. Thank you very much for showing up.
Yeah, thank you.
Bill, thanks for setting this up.
Gary, it's my pleasure.
I owe you a free cup of coffee or something.
Oh, you probably owe me that more, Gary, but
no,
should make Bill the official talent booker for the show.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a pleasure to be here with you and in your state. And I'm here tomorrow, and Ted's coming next week. So thank you for what you all are doing on an evening basis to get the message out.
And thank you, Senator Smith. You're always awesome. And we'll see you guys next week.
Wicked
okay.
awesome.
Happy New Year.
Wicked awesome.